Good evening, everybody. I'm Maria Bailey, and I'm very excited to be here on this Chick-fil-A exclusive event with our very special guest, Cristy Clarke. And we are excited that you are here with us as well to get the inside view into Cristy and her very famous product, the TableTopics. As you might know, as a fan of Chick-fil-A, that this month you could actually find table topic questions in your kids' meal, and we're really excited to introduce you to the creator of the table topics and to hear her story. We got your questions that you submitted earlier to us, and we're excited that I get to ask the questions on behalf of you this evening, and we hope that you're going to enjoy the next 45 or so minutes with us. I want to remind everyone that we're going to actually pick 10 winners at the end of this exclusive Chick-fil-A event, and you will receive a retail edition of Table Topics. And a big thank you to all of you for participating. You'll want to stay on until the end so you find out how you could win your own retail box of Table Topics. It makes a great game to play with family, friends, and everyone else. If you made the New Year's resolution that you want to do more together, then this is a great way to do it. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the story of our special guest. In 2002, this mompreneur, Cristy Clarke, was on her way to a holiday party, and she started thinking about conversation starters. And instead of just the small talk that you normally do at a party, she came up with these topics. Well, by breakfast the next morning, she was on her way to success, and I'm going to let her tell you a little bit about that. So I'd like to welcome from her home in San Francisco, Cristy Clarke. So welcome, Cristy.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I've been excited about this event. Very fun to answer some of the questions that people have for me. So to tell you a little bit about me, like you're saying, I had this idea when I was going to a cocktail party, and my husband and I were on our way to a party with a bunch of friends who we know very well. But I was just feeling like we just seemed to have the same conversations over and over. And so I would come up with some questions to ask people, get to know my friends a little bit better. And the really fun thing that came out of it was that I made all these connections with my friends and learned things about them that I didn't know. And I had so much fun at the party, and I hadn't really been excited to go. And it just completely transformed the party for me. And so I came home, and I was thinking how we had these 3 young daughters at home, and I knew that we were supposed to be having family dinner with them. And my parents had done such a great job with my brother and sister and I. When we were young, you know, we used to sit at the table. There was no TV on. All we did was talk. You know, we were sometimes even expected to come to the table with, you know, with something to talk about from the news. And I just felt like I just wasn't doing a very good job of that as a parent. And so I was writing these questions and putting them in a basket on our table. And our kids had so much fun with it. And we felt like our conversations were so much better. And then they started, you know, asking their friends to come over and wanted to, you know, have them answer some of the questions. And then I started getting phone calls from moms who were asking me for the questions because their kids had come home and told them. And I thought, you know, this is something that we need, you know, especially in this day and age when we're all so busy and we want to bring our families together, and we want to foster those conversations and teach kids about good conversation. I thought it was something that was really important. So I'm really thrilled by this partnership with Chick-fil-A, and excited tonight to answer some of the questions that people have for me.
Well, let's get started then on some of those questions. The first one you've touched on a little bit, so I'm going to modify it, but Michelle Lee Freeman asked, how did you take the idea from a concept to reality? And that is a really good question, because you clearly had an idea, but it's a lot of work that goes into manufacturing and branding and all of those things. How did you navigate that to actually come up with a product out of what you had created?
Well, it is really tough, especially as a mom. I've been at home with my 3 young daughters for 10 years. Trying to find, the time to do this was difficult. And it was also just, and I think to that point, some of the things that I did that really helped me at the start, because I didn't know anything about this. I didn't know how to manufacture. I didn't know how to fill products. I didn't know how would I sell it, where would I sell it. I didn't know anything about the industry. So I'd never done anything like this before. So I knew I was going to have to learn a lot. And my husband, I got into a little bit of a panic, and my husband was telling me to just make a list of everything I needed to do, and every day to do something on the list. So that really helped me to just keep moving forward. I think one of the things I've found that really separates a lot of mom entrepreneurs from the women who have ideas and don't do them is the ones who just consistently every day do the things that are scary or they don't want to do, and really make time for it in their day. I think that's it's been really important to me. And I would just wake up, but actually as a part of my ending day, what I would do is look at the list and say, okay, what's next for tomorrow? And then I would put it at the top of my legal pad and just say, that's what I'm going to do tomorrow. So if it was, I need to learn out warehousing, how do I learn about that? I'd call up a warehouse and say, can I come? Can I take a visit? There's so many people out there who are really excited to help entrepreneurs learn about whatever it is. And I found a ton of help, also from other entrepreneurs. So it was a huge learning experience for me, but it's a big task for sure.
So you mentioned time, and we have a question from Laura Russell, who wanted to know, how much time did it take from actually maybe that first dinner party or when you realized you were onto something to actually having a tangible product in your hand?
Well, it took me a little longer than most people because I had a family at home, had little kids. My work day was, from the time they went to school to the time that they came home from school, so it wasn't very long. So it took me about 2 years to get product on shelves. And from the time that I wrote the questions and hired somebody to help me design it, and actually ordered it, found somebody to manufacture it for me. So it took about 2 years, of kind of solid work on it.
So we have a really great question from Toyon Mason. And I think that a lot of women have this hurdle. She says she has ideas for my business, but I seem to get in the way of my dreams. How do I settle the matter of getting started? And that's something that we face as moms because of the demand on our times, but also sometimes we get in our own way. So how did you get around that?
For sure. Well, that list I mentioned before, that was really helpful. But, also I had to give myself a lot of structure. I had been a mom, as I said, for 10 years at home, and I had to really carve out the time to be able to do this. And so I made sure that I left for work. Even though I was working from home, I was really leaving for work, and I was going to my desk, and I was sitting down, and I was not doing, any of the other things that I was being told to do, the laundry, the dishes. I was really trying to sit down and just really concentrate on those hours just doing that. It's really, I think it's particularly hard for moms with so many demands on them. And I think that's one of the first things I had to conquer was, kind of my own schedule.
I hear stories of some moms who work out of their home who actually put hours on their door so that their kids know from 3 to 5, mom is keeping office hours, and from 7 to 8, they're not, or whatever. But did you do anything crazy like that?
Well, I did. I did a couple of crazy things, really more for my own good. Well, what I really had a hard time with was I just needed to feel like I was at a job. So I would get up and with my husband and my kids, and we'd all get ready for the day, and we'd have breakfast, and we'd all run out, and I'd take the kids to school. And I would come back, and I was dressed and ready for work. And when I came back from the door, I did not do dishes. I did not do laundry. And I actually packed myself a lunch, and I came into my office and sat down. And it sounds ridiculous, but it's kind of what I needed to be able to say, yes, I am at work. No, I will not run your lunch to school. No, I will not put that one load of laundry in. And it really, it made the difference for me because it's a slippery slope when you're at home. You really have to be very structured about it. And after a while, I didn't have to do that, but it really helped at the beginning to really reinforce for myself exactly, that I had a job to do. And if I really wanted this to be successful, I had to commit myself to it in a way that I really kind of, was hard at first.
That's really good. In our office, we don't pack our lunches anymore. Now that Chick-fil-A has grilled nuggets, we go out and get grilled nuggets and kale salads here in my office. So Jenny Farmer would like to know, where do you get the inspiration for your questions on the table topic cards?
Well, a lot of the different editions that I've written have been written in the car with my kids. They're now out of the house, but most of these editions were written when they were still at home, and I was driving them to soccer practice, and I was driving them to basketball, and picking up carpools. And when I was out and about and seeing people and driving around my little town, I would just try and think of, I would be driving around and just thinking of just different questions, being curious about the world, being curious about the kids. I would, whatever kids were in my car, I'd be asking questions, because really good questions I've found are not so much about the questions, about the conversation that happens afterwards. So that's kind of, I always write questions with an eye to what kind of conversations will these questions produce. And so the kids in the car were always the best, the best test. If they ignore the question, wow, good one. So a lot. That's where a lot of these questions came from.
I heard once that one of the best places to talk to your kids is in the car, because then they can look out a window, or they don't have to look you straight in the eyes, so they tend to say a little bit more than they do at the table. So it seems like you're really onto something there, being in the car.
Absolutely true. I think it's absolutely true, because they reveal more when we're not, they don't feel like we're grilling them. And we've had that experience also with our cards. A lot of parents tell us that when the card is asking a question, a kid doesn't really feel like they're being grilled by their parents. So they really come out with these crazy things that parents kind of sometimes find that are unexpected, because they're being asked the question by kind of a neutral, third party kind of thing. So yeah, both of those things are really helpful, I think, for getting kids to talk.
So Cristy, a lot of mompreneurs who do have the idea to and they want to go forward, one of those things that they fear is funding and resources. And I would like to know how you managed both of those things. I once read a statistic that about 80% of all female inventors actually don't get funding and use their credit cards to finance it themselves. But should that really be a fear for anybody?
Well, it's definitely, it's a huge concern. I think one of the things I didn't really plan on, funding, it was a problem for me, and I self-funded. But one of the problems that I found, honestly, is that TableTopics became successful quite quickly. And I didn't realize how important it is to have access to cash. When your business is successful, you have to buy inventory, and that's often before you're paid. So really growing a quickly growing business can really be challenging to manage. I formed some great relationships with bankers after the products were on shelves and they were selling well. It was easier. At the very beginning, it can be a huge challenge. So one of the things I found has been a lot of entrepreneurs do when they start is to really start small, prove the concept of their idea in small trade shows, or going to craft fairs, or depending on what the product is, to really test the idea out on a very limited basis and start to get some sales, start to get some profits, and be able to put those profits back into the business. But it is a tough. You either need to get money from a family member or a friend, or get funding from a bank if you don't have the resources to do it. Otherwise, you've got to just build over time, and that's a great way to do it. It also doesn't put a lot at risk.
So One of the things that Table Toppers does, I think, for many of us, is it gives us the opportunity to develop a deeper relationship with the people that we are playing with. Along the lines of developing a deeper relationship, when you're a mompreneur, you're setting a really great example for your children to follow their dreams. And Jessica Brown asked the question, has Table Toppers changed your relationship with your own family?
It has. It really has. It was challenging at first, honestly, because we were a family who all of a sudden, I was a mom at home, and all of a sudden I was working all day, and my kids and my husband really wanted to support me in this endeavor, as long as it didn't mean that they had to take on any more responsibility. And that was a little tough and a wake-up call for everybody in the family that a lot of the responsibilities I had taken on were going to have to be shared. And that was a little rough, and then everybody started chipping in more and helping and being part of it. And my daughters even got to the point where they opened our web store at the very beginning. Yeah, they ran the web store, and they charged the credit cards, and they packed the boxes, and they shipped them out of our garage. And they were quite young. I think our oldest was in 7th grade, and I was overseeing it all, but they had this great experience of being part of the business, and it was just invaluable, you know. And we all, I think, feel like we worked hard on this project, that they were all involved in it, that it really impacted our family in a lot of great ways. And so yeah, it's been a really fun road for all of us.
So Heidi would like to know, Heidi Bo's mom wants to know, what is the favorite question that you ask your children at the dinner table? And I'm sure it's not, how was your day?
No, that's right. That's how our conversations used to be, right? A discussion about the day's events. But I think one of my favorite questions, we got in a great conversation over the Christmas holiday when our daughters were home, and we were talking about whether we would rather meet our great-great-grandparents or our great-great-grandchildren. And so it brought up this whole discussion about who were our great-great-grandparents, where did they live, what time were they living in, what were their challenges, what would we love to know about that, and then on the other side, who are our great-great-grandchildren going to be, what kind of world are they going to be living in, what are their concerns going to be. And so in answering that question, we had this really long conversation, and that's, to me, that's the perfect Table Topics question, is something that gets everybody talking and discussing and jumping in with their ideas. And so for a long time we've played, we've kind of moved around to our different editions. And actually, I think that's where I lost the connection with you. I was saying we have these different editions. The family edition is one that we played for a long time when they were little girls. It's kind of our grade school age edition. But now we have other editions out. We have this happiness edition that I wrote for. It has like little tidbits from happiness research on the backs of the cards. And then on the front of the card, it has a question that has to do with that idea. And so it's kind of fun because you can read the tidbits from happiness research, and it's a great inquiry into what really makes us happy, and are we doing those things to really make us happy? And so as a family, we've had a really good time as they've gotten older, kind of having these more adult conversations about what are our real values and what do we stand for and what's really meaningful to us. And so anyway, it's as they've grown older, we've picked up these different editions and had fun with them.
That's fantastic. So Susan Santoro would like to know, how did you make the connection to get involved with Chick-fil-A?
Well, Chick-fil-A has been a fantastic partner. We have such similar missions in having families have great conversations, and we don't have a lot of Chick-fil-A's here in California, so I was familiar with Chick-fil-A, but I have a daughter who went to school in Auburn, Alabama, and so every time we'd fly through the Atlanta airport, we'd pick that Chick-fil-A. It was her favorite thing to do, and I just really love the message of families getting together and having meal times together and putting away the cell phones and turning off the TV and really just enjoying each other's company. So it's really been a fun project for me and great partnership.
So I think you have something in common with some of the people at Chick-fil-A if you're an Auburn fan, that's for sure. You know, all the Alabama fans just tuned us out, right?
That's right. I've heard that. My daughter has made me aware of that rivalry.
So I knew that you lived in San Francisco. I was going to ask what your favorite item was on the Chick-fil-A menu, but then I thought, oh yeah, she lives in San Francisco, so I won't put her on the spot. But you can answer that question if you like.
Well, the grilled chicken. My daughter has had me. We've had the grilled chicken. I love that because we're always looking for something healthy, especially when we're running through the airport. You know, there's not a lot of great healthy options. So I've been really happy that we get something fast and something healthy. So.
Yeah, that's the first place I go to in the Atlanta airport is a Chick-fil-A, and I'm kind of bummed out on Sundays when I'm flying back through. I'm like, oh, but then I share those values, so I'm excited that they're not open. So we have a question from Carrie Apted. She said, do you have a personal favorite topic in the game?
Like a theme, for one of the themes, do you think, or more of a question?
Yeah.
Well, we have a couples edition, which was kind of my favorite one to write. I decided that this man who I've been married to for 20 years, I thought, I know so much about him, and we talk so much about at TableTopics. We always are talking about how we can learn something new about everybody in our lives. You can even learn new things about our own selves in having great conversations. So I thought, you know, maybe I should take that challenge up, and my husband and I sat down and tried to think of all the things that we didn't know about each other. And so we kind of wrote that edition together a little bit. And so that was my favorite one to write. I think my favorite one, we have a dinner party edition and then a not your mom's dinner party edition. So the dinner party edition is kind of for, you know, when you have your boss over or your neighbors or people you don't really know that well. And then we have the not your mom's dinner party is kind of when you have your good friends over and, you know, you really are going to mix it up. You want to, you know, talk about some fun things that you feel comfortable talking about with your close friends. And so I've had so much fun writing those two editions, but I love getting together with my friends and talking about those fun questions, you know. I learn things all the time about my friends, even though I've pulled that edition out so many times. So.
Well, and as a Chick-fil-A enthusiast here, I guess I should drop in there that the dinner party edition goes perfectly with a catered tray of Chick-fil-A, so they're well matched. So what is the funnest part of working with Chick-fil-A for you? That question was submitted by Michelle Brooks.
We have had a great team that we've been working with on this project, and I have to say there are a lot of people who are involved in putting these great additions together for Chick-fil-A. It wasn't just the question writing. I had a great conversation with the man who designed that really neat little, the box that they come in. I just loved that he designed something so perfect for those little cards, and he's really proud of it. So it was really fun. You know, as always, it's the people, right? It's the people that we meet along the way and we get to work with. And it was really fun having a team work on such a different project from the cubes that we come out with. So.
You know, I would have to agree with you. I think the people of Chick-fil-A are some of the most amazing people, and there's just such a positive vibe when you're around the people from Chick-fil-A. So ditto to that one. So Kim Fritz would like to know, are there any tips or tricks on getting teens and tweens involved in talking more beyond just a one-word answer? And if you can figure this one out, you'll make millions.
Well, you know, it's something we have thought a lot about at TableTopics because our products are very family-oriented. Lots of parents are, you know, the reason why people want to use our products is because they'd like to have better conversations with their kids, with their teens. We actually just came out with a new product that are their placemats that we used, and you know, to kind of put the questions just right there on the table in a really fun, kind of inviting way, so that teens and other kids didn't really feel like, you know, even with mom or dad saying, here, you know, pick a card from the box, that they could just kind of offhandedly see them. So that's been a really neat project. But also, I find that like just lots of follow-up questions. I've heard from a lot of parents where kids start talking when they really know that you're listening. So, you know, we've promoted putting questions in unexpected places, putting a card in their lunchbox. We've heard of parents who have we have a really neat slumber party edition. And so they'll put that edition in their kids' room, and then they'll hear their kids talking about with their friends. So kind of putting them around the house in these unexpected places, or just, putting the cards out that kids find. I really feel like it's really important too. If kids don't want to ask a question, this is not the kind of thing where you have to answer the next one. It's really about finding a question you like. So sometimes it's, just pick any one from a box. It doesn't, if you don't see the first one that you like, you go on to the next one. So, it's trying to put it into their world a little bit and making it fun.
Yeah.
Is definitely.
I think you picked up on a good one there. I am guilty as charged this week. I did hear at least one time from my teenager, you say you're listening, but you're not really listening to me, Mom. So guilty as charged here.
That's true. I think it's sometimes hardest to not talk as a parent, and to just be quiet and listen to them. So.
And I think it's also hard to have your actions reflect you hear what they're saying to you, but you kind of ignore it because you still think that you know the right way. So your behaviors don't really say, yes, I've heard what you want. So
very true.
Very true. Yeah, very true. Can you see the gray here? I got a couple teenagers. So you mentioned the placemats, and Colleen Broadbeck asked the question, are you developing anything new? So beyond the placemats, are there other things on the horizon for you?
Well, the placemats, we do new products every year. So, we come out with all kinds of new things. Most of our products are in the cubes, but we also have slipcases. For we have a really great one that you can throw in the car. We were talking with kids in the car earlier. We have a travel edition. The road trip edition, and the placemats is kind of a fun new product that we came out with this year. So yeah, we're always working on new products and topics, all different kinds of things. So,
will you be at Toy Fair this year in New York?
I know that our company will be, and yeah, we have.
Okay.
Yeah, sure, we'll have a product.
Great.
There.
Great. Okay, so looking back, would you have done anything differently than the way you developed your company?
The way that you cut out just for a second?
The way that your company developed, and thinking back at, the way your journey through this mompreneurism, would you have done anything differently? Because there's a lot of moms out here that do have an idea that they'd like to pursue. Would you have done anything differently that maybe a mom should consider?
I said that our kids are really involved, but I really wish that I had even involved them more. It was really a family project in lots of ways. I was absolutely the one that took the lead on it. But sometimes I felt like my kids, that they had other things going on, that maybe in my business, I shouldn't let my kids do as much as they did. And I really wish that in some ways I had exposed them to more, because one of the things, so I grew up in a family of entrepreneurs, and my dad always had us doing all these different things in the business. And my kids did some of that, but it's really neat. It is amazing when kids learn like that, right? When they learn all these different pieces. I remember one time I had our daughters putting together all of our press kits with just different articles that have been written about TableTopics and learning about what is a press kit, how do you put it together, what kinds of things do you say, and what kind of writing why is writing important? It's a really real-world application for some of the things that they are learning in school. And I've really seen it now translate, our oldest daughter is now 24. She's working in startups. She has seen it from the ground up. And lots of times entrepreneurship is a very scary thing for people. And when you see it in your home and you live it, it really takes a lot of the fear away. It becomes a very natural way of life. It is a risky thing by definition, but kids become very comfortable, I think, or more comfortable with it when they've seen the parents do it. So I think if I was going to do something, or I would probably have had them even get more involved than I did.
Well, that's kind of a surprising answer. And I want to ask you about work-life balance and balancing your family, but I want to ask it in a different way, because I think so often, when you look at mothers today, I think the number is close to 85% of them do some kind of work in their home. They might, own a company, or they might sell something out of their home. And so we're all struggling with work and family balance. And I think the expected question would be, how did you do it? But I also know that a lot of moms feel guilt because they're pulled in a lot of ways. I like to look at guilt and say, not what did I miss because I was building my business, but what did my kids learn because I was building my business? And so I just wondered what your attitude was on the guilt that sometimes we feel when we're pulled between our business, which a lot of us call our other baby, and our family. So do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. I mean, it's something I've had to deal with a lot, and I've struggled with it. My husband and I had a number of conversations about what was really important for us in order to be involved with our kids. So for me, that was, I wanted to be here when my kids were little and they came home from school. I wanted to be there at the door, and I wanted to be with them until they went to bed. And having that time with them made me feel like I was part of their lives, and I was a stay-at-home mom. And to me, that's what it felt like. So that was really important to me. It was very important to me to get to every kid's classroom once a semester, so 2 times a year. And so I decided on those things, and then it meant I had to work really late at night. I would come back to work at 9 or 10 for a couple hours, but I scheduled that into my day. And I did feel guilty at times when other moms were making really good snacks. My kids always said that my snacks weren't very good at soccer games. I'd bring, my tortilla chips and guacamole, and they were getting these really great homemade brownies, and I felt really guilty. And I remember when my girls was telling me, Mom, I'm really proud of you, and I'm proud that you're doing TableTopics, and it's okay that you didn't bring a homemade brownie. And it really helped me understand that the kids are seeing a lot of things that they're exposed to a lot, and they're very proud of me. They're proud of what we've accomplished together. And so it was hard sometimes when I wasn't able to go to a field trip. It was really hard. I think the hardest thing for me was leaving the dishes in the sink. That sounds so dumb, but it was very hard for me to let go of the basic feeling of being kind of a perfect mom. I had this ideal image in my mind of what a mom should be. The breakfast dishes should be cleaned, the beds should be made, the floor should be swept. And our house was, it was kind of a disaster for a couple of years in there. It was great in all the right ways. My kids were fed and loved, and we spent time together, but it didn't look pretty. And I think we have to, I found that I could not do this and do that. So I decided to choose, and I made a very conscious decision to really be okay with it the other way. And that was tough. It was tough to come home at night and see all those breakfast dishes and feel a little bit like a failure, and then say, don't do it. Do not do that.
Right.
And but it's a struggle, for sure.
Hey, you know what makes up for those homemade brownies? Just get a tray of Chick-fil-A nuggets and take them to the next classroom parties, and you will be like super mom, superstar, because nobody outdoes the Chick-fil-A, catering. I'm telling you. That's how I rectify it all the time. It was very funny. the other day I said to my 17-year-old, I said, I'm so sorry that I missed muffins for mom every single year because I was traveling for business. And she looked at me and she goes, what's muffins for mom? And I'm like, here, I'd been worried about it for 17 years, and she didn't even remember it happened once a year at her elementary school, you know? So sometimes we carry the burden unnecessarily.
We tend to see as moms all the things we didn't do, and we're not realizing all the really big things that we do. So
that's right. That's right.
I'm sure that you and I are not alone in feeling like that.
That's right. So I'm going to ask one final question before we talk a little bit about how we're going to choose our winners tonight. What is your greatest success? And I have a feeling it may lead to what your children have become, but so I'm going to ask it in a two-part. What has been your biggest personal success, and what has been your biggest success professionally?
Great question. So yeah, my personal success is having a family that I just adore, and who have, my kids who have grown up to be really wonderful women, and to have this family that is so connected and know each other so well, having worked on TableTopics, but together. But it's also about connecting, and TableTopics has had a part of that in us getting to know each other. So that's been a huge success for me. I kind of look back and realize that I picked a really great partner to do that with. My spouse is a one-of-a-kind guy. So I've been very, very lucky in that. And, for my business success, TableTopics becoming part of so many people's lives has really touched me. I mean, we have heard so many neat stories over the years of how people have used TableTopics, how people have brought it into their lives. We've had people, we had this great story of a grandma. I don't know why this touched me so much, but I heard this story of this grandma who took our box of TableTopics and put it on next to her phone, and during her weekly phone call with her grandkids, she would pull a question out of the box, and she would ask her grandkids what they thought, and she learned about what they wanted, what they thought, what their goals were, what they didn't like. And for me, those are those small little conversations between people who love each other. I feel somehow part of all of that, and it's just given me a very deep sense of satisfaction. And at the same time as creating a successful business, which has been wonderful to be part of. The fact that we've been part of all those conversations, I think, is really my biggest achievement. And so I'm very happy to have been part of it, and I'm very excited to have been part of this promotion with Chick-fil-A, because this is a great opportunity for families to be eating together, enjoying their company, having dinner, and it was fabulous. So.
Well, congratulations on all your success, and it is a really wonderful thing when you touch so many people's lives. So we're going to turn our attention to winning. Yes, all you Chick-fil-A fans out there, now is your chance to win. We're going to give away 10 lucky viewers tonight, 10 retail editions of Table Toppers, and as I mentioned before, it'll be the retail family edition set of Cristys TableTopics to 10 of you. So here's how to enter. Simply comment in the chat space, and you guys have been really good about chatting tonight. Simply comment in the chat space, what did you enjoy most about this interview with Cristy? You can even say her hair, because I think you have great hair, Cristy. So what was your favorite part? And we will randomly select and notify you via email tomorrow morning if you're a winner, and then we will ship the prizes to the address that you provided when you RSVP. So Cristy, we're going to let our guests give them a couple minutes to chat and talk and let us know what their what their favorite part of tonight was, but do you have any closing comments while we're allowing them to do that?
Well, I think I really enjoyed our conversation. It's a lot of fun for me to answer questions for a change instead of writing questions. And I would just say that you know, I've loved doing table topics, and it's taught me a lot in writing questions about how to be curious about people. And I think that it's something that we all can do with just that little bit of work, that little bit of curiosity about turning to the person next to you in line at the post office or your kid's teacher and asking them an unexpected question. And sometimes I think that you know, it connects us in ways to the people around us, even strangers. And it's just it's really added so much to my life. And I would just like to encourage everybody out there to enjoy all those conversations that they have in their life, and to think of Table Topics questions as a starting point to having conversations all over.
Well, that's such great advice, particularly in a time where we post in 140 characters, or we post in a small amount of space, and we do it for bragging rights or other things. And I think that's just really, really great advice. And I want to thank you so much for spending some of your time tonight with us, and sharing your insights and learning about the success of TableTopics. It's so inspiring. And I know, speaking on behalf of all the Chick-fil-A fans out there, we're very excited that you can now get Cristy's TableTopics in your Chick-fil-A kids meal. And I don't know about you guys, but I am really hungry now for some grilled nuggets or a grilled sandwich. I'm craving that kale. That's my favorite vegetable. So I want to thank everybody, and you can get your last minute comments in here. Don't forget that tomorrow morning we'll be notifying 10 of you as winners, and we appreciate so much that you spend a little time with us tonight and that you are a Chick-fil-A fan. So good night, everybody, and thanks for coming. Thanks, Cristy.
Thank you.